Welcome to the story world. You can learn effective facts about life by subscribing the channel and turn on the notification bell for our next video. Let's start the video. In a serene village surrounded by mountains and forests, lived an old teacher named Mr. Arlen. For decades, he had taught generations of students about mathematics, literature, and science. But what he truly excelled at was imparting wisdom about life. Now retired, Mr. Arlen lived a quiet life, spending his days tending his garden and reading by the riverside. One day, a young man named Elias, a former student of Mr. Arlen, arrived at his doorstep. Elias was a successful entrepreneur, known across the region for his innovative ventures and relentless drive. But as he stood before his old teacher, his confident demeanor seemed to falter. "Mr. Arlen," Elias began, "I've achieved everything I ever wanted: money, recognition, a grand home. But something feels missing. I wake up every day, work harder than the last, yet I feel no joy. What am I doing wrong?" Mr. Arlen smiled gently, gesturing for Elias to sit in the garden. He poured 2 cups of tea and said, "Elias, I'll help you. But first, you must do something for me. Tomorrow morning, go to the top of Ember Mountain and bring me a stone that you find meaningful." Elias raised an eyebrow but nodded. He assumed it was some symbolic exercise to illustrate a lesson. The next morning, Elias set out at dawn. The path to Ember Mountain was rugged, winding through dense forests and steep cliffs. Along the way, Elias saw countless stones, some smooth, others jagged, some dull, and others sparkling in the sunlight. He picked up a few, but none felt meaningful. As the hours passed, Elias grew impatient. He wanted to finish this task quickly and return to his busy schedule. By midday, he reached the summit and realized he still hadn't found the perfect stone. Frustrated, he grabbed a random rock near his feet and made his way back down. When he returned to Mr. Arlen's home, he handed him the stone. "Here. I don't know what's so special about it, but I brought it." Mr. Arlen inspected the rock and smiled. "It's just a stone, isn't it?" Elias shrugged. "I suppose. I didn't find any that felt meaningful, as you said." The old teacher nodded thoughtfully. "And why do you think that is?" Elias hesitated. "Maybe because I was rushing." "I didn't take the time to really look at them." Mr. Arlen leaned forward. "Exactly. You see, Elias, life is like that journey up the mountain. We're so focused on reaching the top, achieving our goals, that we overlook the beauty and meaning in the moments along the way. The stones weren't meaningful because you didn't give them your attention. And that is what's missing in your life: presence." Elias was taken aback. "Are you saying I should stop striving for success?" "No," Mr. Arlen replied. "Strive, but don't let the pursuit blind you to the life around you. What good is success if you miss the laughter of friends, the warmth of family, or the simple joys of nature?" The stones on your path weren't meaningless. They only seemed so because you were too distracted to appreciate them. Elias sat in silence, the weight of Mr. Arlen's words sinking in. The old teacher continued. "Elias, let me tell you a story. Years ago, I taught a boy named Jonah. He was brilliant, like you, and he worked tirelessly to make a name for himself. Jonah became a renowned scholar, but he rarely visited home. His parents grew old waiting for him, and one day, they were gone. When Jonah returned to the village, he stood before their empty house and realized that all the letters they had written to him, all the invitations he had ignored, were the stones he had passed by. He reached the top of his mountain, but he found it lonely. Elias felt a lump rise in his throat. He thought of his parents, whom he hadn't visited in months. He thought of his childhood friends, whose calls he often declined because he was too busy. The next day, Elias did something he hadn't done in years. He canceled his meetings and visited his parents. He spent the day listening to his mother's stories and helping his father repair a broken fence. He laughed with them, really laughed, for the first time in ages. Over the following weeks, Elias began to slow down. He still worked hard, but he set aside time for things he had once ignored: playing with his niece, taking long walks in nature, and sharing meals with friends. He discovered that life's greatest treasures weren't hidden at the summit, but scattered along the journey. Years later, when Elias spoke at a leadership conference, he shared this story. "Success is important," he told the audience, But what truly matters in life is how we live each moment. The climb is meaningless if we miss the beauty of the stones beneath our feet. Moral of the story: life's meaning isn't found at the peak of success, but in the small, precious moments we often overlook. Slow down, pay attention, and cherish the journey. Thanks for watching the video. If you like this video, subscribe our channel and turn on with us for more exciting videos.